welcome to the stage Rookie Producer of the Year and Hall of Fame producer Katelynn Blackburn, sharing the secrets of her in-home.
Hi guys. So Jamie introduced me. I'm Katelynn. I'm going to go over my in-home presentation. I've been with Family First Life for about 10 months now, and I do mostly in-home presentations. So you can go on to the next slide. So primarily, when you're doing in-home or virtual appointments, you want to figure out why you're there for the client. So there's 3 primary reasons. One thing would be final expense, burial costs, making sure that they're not trying to leave a burden behind for their family. Second one would be income replacement, so type of mortgage protection plan, anything that would cover the home in the event of a death or a disability. And then the third one is leveraging a legacy. So if they're trying to leave a bit of money behind for their family, finding that out so that you know why you're there. So I like to find that out first just so that you can best assist the client. You can go to the next slide. So one thing I want to say is that with your in-home presentation and with the clients, you want to make sure that you're really putting them first and putting yourself in their situation if they were to pass away, what that actually looks like for them if they don't have this coverage in place. So I think that helps me because I go in with the idea of, you know, this person needs to have something in place because if they don't, this is what it's going to look like. And you can be real with them and really ask those questions, and it can help a lot because then they know that, like, oh, this person's really here to figure out what's going to best suit me individually. Next slide. Okay, so the way that I enter the home is I set the table and I always ask, like, hi, I'm Katelynn. Is there a place that we can sit at a table? And then if I get any kind of pushback on that, like a couch or anything like that, I'm like, no, I just have a few things I need to set down so that we can have this discussion. So I always put down my license, this sheet, which is all the carriers, and then I put my business card on top of my license right here. And I introduce myself as Katelynn as a field underwriter. Basically, all that means is it's very unlike a State Farm or a Farmer's Insurance where I'm captive or loyal to one carrier or one company. I work with all of them, the A-rated carriers across the nation like Americo, Mutual of Omaha, John Hancock. And the reason behind that is because, Mary, everyone has different things going on medically and financially, so I wanted to make sure that I had something that would be suitable for everyone and put them in the best position possible. You can go to the next slide. And then basically what I do from there is I tell them what we're going to do today. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask you some medical and financial questions and see where you stand with both of those things. And then based on how you answer those to me, it'll really get my brain rolling into what would individually put you in the best position possible. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and submit a request for coverage to the insurance carrier themselves, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to make the decision whether or not you're eligible for their coverage. Does that all make sense, Mary? And then they usually say yes. Then you can go through your financial inventory sheet, which is this right here. You can move to the next slide. Here, and this is where you find out things like, you know, what they can afford. You're asking them, you know, what their mortgage or rent is. Whether it's mortgage or final expense, you want to get a good idea of what their budget looks like. So asking those questions can help you really when you get to that point of showing them what coverage would be best for them. And then you go into, you know, name, occupation, get to know them a little bit, figure out who that person is that would be left with the burden of the home, the burden of the final expense, any of those things, and make sure that you're writing down those names so that you can, you know, go back to those names later on in the presentation if you need to remind them why you're here. So I wrote down these 3 things that are very important to accomplish in an appointment. Make sure they can afford it. So when you're asking those questions, you can find out what their budget is, and then that's where your quoting will come from. You know, you want to make sure that they can afford it, because I always say, you know, Mary, the only insurance that matters is the one that's in place when that day does come. So we want to make sure that, you know, this has value to it, but it's not taking food off the table as well, and that the bill can be paid month after month, year after year. And then the other important part is making sure that you qualify for it. So it's important for you to be honest with me so that I can find something that's going to suit you best when it comes to your insurance needs. And then the third one is making sure that they understand it. The understanding part, I don't go too in-depth about the product in that appointment because sometimes too much knowledge can be a little bit much. They're not an insurance broker, so they're not going to know all the terms that you have to say. It's a very simple process. You make sure that you understand that you have a whole life product, a term product, whatever you're trying to help them with, that they understand the concept of that product before you leave. Once you finish this, basically what I do with quoting is I just flip the paper upside down and I give them 3 options. So when I figure out that they're able to qualify for either Americo or any of the carriers based on what they told me, I go ahead and write down 3 different options on the back of the financial inventory sheet. And at that point, I'll just write them down and then I say, Mary, so based on the conversation that we've had, these are the 3 options that made the most sense for me, that made the most sense to me for your individual situation. But you're gonna know better than me. So then I just slide the paper in front of her and I say, which one makes the most sense for you to try and qualify for today? And then I stay silent and let them think about it. So, you're gonna sit there, let them think about it. And if you did your job right, they're probably gonna choose somewhere in the middle, the middle range, because that was kind of where you want them to choose the middle range because that's like not too low of coverage, you're not underinsuring them, and you're not overinsuring them as well. So you're kind of giving them something that is going to suit them best. So from there, they'll pick that, and then what I go ahead and do is I finish the application, and then I let them know that upon approval, the first draft will come out, and then from that date, you can make any adjustments to this up or down, but most people do keep it as is, so that's why we looked at these 3 options today to see which one made the most sense to you. And then to kind of close it out and make it cementing the sale, is that you can take your business card and put all of the information that you just went over on the back of it, the carrier, the premium, the beneficiary, make sure that they have it. And then I also take a picture with them and I do send them a text message as well so that they have my phone number and make sure that they save it so that when they need to call me, if they need to call me, they have it in their phone. Other than that, that's basically, it's a very simple process. If you set it up correctly, you'll eliminate a lot of the objections that they were just talking about. If you set it up correctly, then you'll end up, setting the table and you won't get as many of those. You can go to the next slide. So that's just the financial inventory sheet, health interview, just kind of filling all that out. That is really important. And then the next one. So show the options and get a second opinion from a senior underwriter. So most people here are newer, so this is something that I did every single time I was in the home when I was brand new, is I would tell the client, I think that this is gonna be the best option for you, but I'm gonna get a second opinion from my senior underwriter just to make sure that I'm putting you in the best possible situation. And then you can call your senior underwriter, your manager, anybody, and just, credibility, just another person that's gonna reiterate what you guys just did. You can go to the next slide. And then see if you qualify. So lastly, it's just see if you qualify. At the end, most applications will let you know if they qualify right on the spot, which is so amazing. That's one of the best parts of our products, is that you know right away that they're protected. So basically that's all I have for my in-home. I will say that putting the client first is really what you have to think about. When you are newer, it can be a little bit hard because you are trying to learn, you're trying to go through different appointments, and there are days that you're gonna get you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days, and you have to be able to keep your mindset in the spot where you can keep going and focus on that client. Because at the end of the day, all of these people that we are calling, they did request life insurance, they did want it, they just want somebody that knows what they're talking about and that's confident in what they're talking about to provide them with that service. So if you can do that, then you're gonna be perfectly fine and you're gonna do really well here. So that's all I have.